Welcome to the Emerging Lawyer series at the Coffee Conversation Show, powered by the Emerging India Forum, TIF, and a tech partner, Prime Infotech Solution. Theme is from Don Bosco to deal tables in capital markets. We have with us Arka Mookerjee, equity partner at Sagar Associates, and a stalwart in capital markets law. With nearly 2 decades of experience at one of India's top law firms, Arko has been consistently recognized by Chambers and Partners, IFLR 1000, and featured in the ALB Asia 40 under 40 list. But beyond the accolades and transactions, Arko brings depth, clarity, and grounded wisdom, qualities that go beyond the courtroom. In this free-flowing conversation, we explore the man behind the suit, his early days, his personal rhythm, and everything that fuels his journey. So, friends, we are now at Sagar Associates office in Mumbai, and it is a privilege to have with someone, like I've not mentioned, with over 19 years being in one law firm. That is a remarkable feat, and he's one of my coffee speakers, like I did on Saturday with another coffee speaker, Kinjal Champaneria, 19 years at Solomon and Company. So we will have question that also. Okay, why being at? So let's keep the hold our horses. So welcome, Arko, to today's coffee conversation.
Thank you, Mr. Virani. Thank you for having me. Thank you so much. Yeah.
So friends, I'm Lion Amir Virani, host at Coffee Conversation and legal tech evangelist at Prime Infotech Solution, author of 15 books. We help law firms, corporate legal, startups, SMEs with world-class technology, software licensing, and tech training solutions. So let me explain you the flow and the format, Arko. There are 3 rounds: professional journey round, personal journey round, and we also have a fun round, the rapid fire round.
Sure.
For which you have to be witty, fun, and quick.
Absolutely.
But don't worry, you'll get your gift also. The I101,
Thank
which is autograph, but you have to win and crack it. Then you get it.
Let's. I'm always up for a competition.
That's You're keeping me excited. That's good. So, Arko, my first question: how has your journey shaped up, and any key defining moments you had?
See, in by time I was in senior school, I thought maths and science were not my cup of tea. So and I used to write very well. I still believe I do, and had a mix. I had a very passion towards literature, towards languages, and also towards society at general. I was quite sort of enamored by different status of society. So I think law was a natural choice. My father, very early had sort of pointed it out. The way I used to write some of the social issues, write on social issues in some sense in school. So that was a natural choice, and yeah, then I cracked the competitive exam of symbiosis, and here I am today.
Wow. So my next question, which our viewers out there want to know, you have been a JSF for 19 years, a rare feat in today's fast-paced professional world. What has kept you rooted for so long, being part of Sagar's, what do you say, over the years, where they have been and where they are now?
Mr. Rani, I would think it is the culture. I think if in one word, if I have to answer, it can go. I can go on and on about JSA and what it has helped me in life and how it has
Please do. That will help.
Yes, I will.
Other young legal professionals to stay in one a firm or in-house counsel, and how to build a career.
Well, see, I'm not going to. It's not a advice to everyone that one should stick to a place. In today's fast-moving world, young professionals will find their feet and find their love. Wherever they go. But if you have a meet of minds, as they call it, with a certain organization, and there's a cultural fit, then I don't see why you should just jump from one place to another. It is extremely important that you find your home, and if it is the right mix, and if the organization that you work for rewards you, gives you growth, and sort of also is good to you, and at times when you are down, and uplifts you at the time of your career when you need that helping hand, I think you should never leave the organization, and that has happened with me in JSA. It's the culture. JSA, I think, is one of the very few law firms, if not the only one, who gives equal opportunities to its lawyers, and there is a great chance that one day you will be the leader of your practice if you were to sort of do the right things. Right way. I think it's a unique platform that very few law firms today. We are in Lower Parel, the city where all law firms are situated
Yeah.
mostly, and I would sort of very proudly say I think this is a platform that like no other.
So thank you for that. Same thing, Kinjal also shared the culture, team,
Yeah.
and opportunities.
Yeah.
This is what. So watch this episode of Arko and Kinjal and other coffee speakers. Ke bhai, what keeps them motivated? So it's all about team, the leadership. So there are a lot of questions will be coming up.
Yeah.
So Arko being part of a practice of capital markets, can you walk us through what capital market practice is all about?
See, capital market practice is a very regulated practice. We have the Securities and Exchange Board of India, which is SEBI, like all we know, which is the market regulator, and it's in some sense a watchdog for investors, both international, sophisticated, and as well as retail investors. It is a practice with a high level of responsibility on you, because you are advising companies who will issue their shares in a public market forum, where all investors, whether big, small, sophisticated, retail, will sort of invest. So the advice you give to the issuers, the disclosures you make in that sense, go a long way to protect the market culture. And today, so you have seen last 5 years, I think, where India's story is going. We need to ensure that the investors in the market remain protected, and that there is no bad money coming in. I would not like to, sort of be so self-important to say that we can stop that bad money from coming in. But I am a wheel in the whole system. We are a part, a cog in the wheel, who definitely can ensure that we keep the investors protected and be a mouthpiece of SEBI to our clients in that sense. So our primary job is to educate the clients to ensure that public money should be accessed in the right way, in the right forum. Yeah.
Wow. So, Arko, capital markets is a high stake space. You have to deal with so many stakeholders. So, I will divide into my questions into 2-3 parts. One is, ke, how do you personally manage the pressure, then dealing with different stakeholders, and what are the key elements of a IPO?
See, dealing with pressures comes with age, and at most point in time, I have buckled under pressure. And then and then the firm the way it is today, and that is why, coming to your earlier question, why I love the firm, because the seniors of the firm, my mentors there, has pulled me out of that pressure. So it comes with age, and to all any young listeners, any young lawyers, to share my journey, it's okay to buckle under pressure. But as you are more experienced, you deal with more situations, you will understand calmness, and the idea is to be calm, and you will have ego, and you're absolutely right, that there are personalities, there are egos to be dealt with, and these are all tricks of the trade that you learn along the way. But more important is so I personally don't do, I would not want to sort of say that I meditate too much. It's not that, or I'm spiritual to a different extent, but I have a lot of, over the years, been a lot of inner calm and confidence that I sort of back into, or sort of basically go back into, whenever I'm under pressure. Yeah.
That was pressure. Then, what about the elements of the IPO?
As I mentioned, IPOs is a very, very high stakes in that, as you mentioned. We have the responsibility to ensure that the issuers in the capital markets are well sort of educated and know what they're getting into. And it's a whole journey. An IPO is the first time journey in a company's life where it is coming into the public. Where we are launching the company into the public market, where, of course, it helps in branding of the company, but more importantly, it makes the company responsible to lead a public life. And that is where the education of that company, of the board members of the company begin as to how they should conduct themselves in the public life.
Wow.
That is the most. I think that's the task of all our bankers and lawyers, that we educate that board, the management, the CEO, the company, to know how to lead a public life and not to fault in it, because the responsibilities come in when you lead the public life.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I'm getting excited to have a panel discussion with you and Vikesh Walia, who's now into training of anyone who wants to become an independent director.
Sure. Yeah, that's
Yes.
more important. Yes, that too.
So-
Corporate governance, sir, is the most
Yeah.
important element that we advise on. One of the most important elements that we advise on, and it's only quality corporate governance that can help lead a company a very fruitful and a clean public life.
That is good, Kibai. Your bankers and lawyers are educating because public life. So how is the experience been the board or the leadership? Like after the IPO comes in, how have you seen they have evolved of being in public glare? And
Corporate India is very receptive. I mean, corporate India, I mean, is run by very receptible and highly educated. Educated in both in terms of college degree as well as in life, and they are a very highly adaptable bunch of people, you know, and they are very receptible. And every client that I have sort of gone through, they would sort of ask you questions and put you under the hard pressure to ensure that they get the right answers, and they will ask the question several times till they reach the right answers. But when you do explain to them, and that is the responsibility on us and the bankers to ensure that we sort of answer their questions in the right forum, such that they and when you do that, then you are being able, and they will implement it to the T. I mean, people say a lot of marketing about corporate India, etc. But at least my experience has been very clean. I mean, once you sort of been explained to them, you explain the method. The method of madness. To them, they are very receptible. They will follow your advice.
wow, perfect. Okay, so Arko, how do you maintain client trust and long-term relationships in such a dynamic space?
See, all my clientele is on long term that way, because the investment bankers are an important intermediary in the whole process,
Yes, yeah.
And they are the first point of contact for any company which is trying to go public, and they are the one who usually recommends you to your clients and also give you a feedback. I mean, now it's more of a friendship than a client and a lawyer relationship, but they are a important intermediary in the market. So all my clientele has been based on mostly on those investment bankers and of course corporate promoters, and if I may use the word Hindi, if I can,
See,
काम से काम आता है. I always use the काम से काम आता है, and you keep
certainly.
working, you keep sort of doing justice to your clients, to your banker friends, to the promoters, to the board, and they will keep trusting you. That's what I'm. My logic, which I tell my junior associates also, and people who are coming in. The more you give to the profession will give you. That's always been the case.
Wow. So how has the relationship been with the company secretary? Okay, what is their role?
Yeah.
Because as you said, okay, investment advisors are the intermediaries.
Yes.
So let us go through the stakeholders, each role, which is help young legal professionals who are entering this capital markets. So like investment intermediaries, law firm, the company secretary, and others are there. So can you take us through?
Yeah, there are 4 or 5 key stakeholders in the whole process. One is of course the company, the client, whom we work for, and you might say nomenclature wise, it's the company, counsel to the company, counsel to the bankers, international legal counsel. There are a lot of nomenclatures around it, but the point of everybody's mission is one, to get that company listed in within the timelines and without having getting into trouble with the regulator, which is SEBI, and SEBI is a very strict regulator, very strict regulator, and they sort of regulate the market in a very hawk-eyed manner and to protect the interest of the investors, the investing public. So of course there is a promoter, which has then they are very which is the company. Now a company typically have various verticals, as you would know. One is the company secretary, who is also the compliance officer and responsible for compliance of all laws of the company. Then of course you have the board of directors who take the decisions, the promoter, the CEO, who are the decision making parties. Then of course you have the investment bankers who sort of put put the whole show together. I mean, basically appoint everyone, advises the company, sells the deal, and get our get us our fees in that sense also. Because unless the issue is sold, I mean, of course, I mean, for us lawyers, we have a different milestone payment, and we are not sort of dependent on the success of the issue. But ultimately, for the project to be successful, the issue has to be sold,
Yeah.
in that sense, and the public has to buy into your story. I mean, for us lawyers, it doesn't matter because we charge our time in that sense to it. But I mean, it's not a good feeling if the issue is not successful. I mean, for the bankers or for the lawyers in that. So, I mean, so investment bankers come in there who, I mean, I'm sort of advise the company in all aspects, gets the show together, sells the issue. And of course, we lawyers come into where we draft the whole book. The prospectus, if you have seen, I'll show you once on our way out.
Yeah, please,
The
please.
typically prospectus that we have is drafted from cover to cover by the lawyers, which is the International Legal Council and 2 domestic legal councils. Typically, that is the structure around the system now. That the whole prospectus is put together by us lawyers. And then you have the auditors. They're also, I mean, they're also governed by the ICA, and they also have very high responsibility. Whether it's the big 6 or the local auditors, the independent CAs, they have a very high responsibility because ultimately the story blends into the numbers, and I believe the numbers always tells your story. And the investment public will go by that number, and of course, there could be various interpretations of that story through the numbers, but the numbers should be rightly brought into the book. I mean, we call the prospectus the book in our language. So the auditors are another important intermediary, which and they are the key intermediary because no, mostly we are dependent on their timelines to either to file the book, file the prospectus, or to launch the issue. And then of course there are the ad agencies who ultimately see publicity is a very regulated. I mean, SEBI regulates publicity, and we do not advise companies to go all out for publicity before the IPO. I mean, it's a very restricted field. I mean, it's and rightly so, because what SEBI wants is that the investing public should not read or depend on some other literature which is published elsewhere, other than the prospectus, the book that we write, because that is where we diligence the lawyers, the auditors, and of course the investment bankers. They're all putting their money, on that book. So so that's the key reason why the regulator will not allow you to have asymmetric information, as we call it in our language, in any newspaper, in any article, or any movie, or any video, etc. The investing public should only look at the prospectus and the ancillary documents with the prospectus, which is your stat ad, which is your normal publicity. So that is where the publicity aspects come in. So I'm not sure whether I'm missing anyone, but these are the 5-6 stakeholders. So coming back to your question, a company secretary is very important. He is the guy who sort of we regularly deal with, because ultimately when the company reaches public life, it becomes listed. He's the main guy. He's responsible for all the laws and regulations.
Wow. You're leading me to too many questions.
Please.
Yeah. So, what will be the most?
I mean, I have just to let you know, I've kept my second half free because it's one of. I think it's a part holiday also in some parts.
Yeah.
So I think it's
Yeah. Don't worry. Okay. Yeah. Because see, capital markets is a very interesting topic, and thanks for that. You'll be showing that RHCP, so that
yes.
We have to include that in the video also.
Yes, we'll do that.
So my 2-3 questions related to this segment. What has been the most memorable IPO you have worked on, and why is it?
See, the most memorable IPO. I mean, I don't know whether we can take the name of the client.
No, we don't want name of the client. Only the merits of the case.
Yeah. No, so memorable IPO was my first IPO because it was in an infrastructure space. I think I can take the name. I mean, it's a publicly listed company.
No.
I mean, IRB.
Because first.
Yeah.
Sorry, please.
IRB infrastructure was one of the first big IPOs that I had sort of done with JSA. Those days, in the market, the volumes of IPOs were not much, and a young associate would work on maybe 3 to 4 IPOs in that sense, So used to, and it was a very interesting space, infra space that came in, and that is where my love for infra comes in, because I think that's important for the country to build highways and roads. So that was the first one. Is always special, also.
Wow. So what advice would you give to Indian companies, the SMEs or want to go in for the IPO. So, what preparations or, according to you, should be the groundwork they have to prepare before they think okay, they are ready for the IPO?
So, Mr. Virani, we don't do too many SME IPOs in that sense, but if you sort of, but nonetheless, I mean, the preparation of an IPO is a very tough process in itself, you know. So one has to be ready. I mean, one has to have the intent to do the IPO. I think that's where it matters. Then you sort of appoint the right kind of intermediaries and right kind of advisors, and it is it's a process. I mean, I would not use the word complicated because you know because we've uncomplicated it by our own process and procedures. But I mean, it could be daunting to a first time issuer or a first time promoter or the first time board or you know company secretary as you mentioned to yeah, I mean they could just crumble under the documentation, you know, in that sense. So but we have between us and the investment banker friends, we have managed to uncomplicate the process. And so the idea is to, I mean, there's no point thinking so much. You know, you have to get your maths and your business model and evaluations right. That is, of course, between you and your investors, and that's where the bankers come in. So that's the first step. I think you should have the intent to do it for the right reasons to get the right valuations, to discuss where your book has your multiples to P and all of that boardroom discussions that happen. So once you are sure that you are a fit case for an IPO, just go for the right advisors, and your life will be easy.
Wow. So we are seeing a lot of startups taking the path of going IPO.
Yes.
Is it a healthy trend?
Of course, it is. I mean, there could be views towards it, but I believe the startup which we typically in our world call the branded IPOs. You know, whether it's so many of them in that sense. So, I mean, one criticism has been that it is. I mean, all of them are not profitable. That's a normal criticism, and you see in the papers they come out with values and valuation as to the profit and loss statement. But that's not the point. The point is that you have to invest in their story, you know, and that's the right way to fund the. I mean, because ultimately it's not. See, IPOs is not the trend which has happened, and which I want to correct. IPOs is not only about I'm giving exit to Ps. It's also about capex in that sense. You know, of course, there are pure offer for sales, and rightly so, because the P who has come into the company wants an exit at some point in time. Otherwise, business will not happen. So it's the right. There's nothing wrong with it, and it's the right way to give them higher multiples so that so that more and more Ps come into the Indian market and sort of invest into Indian startups. Give them the encouragement. More importantly, the capital. I mean, everybody use words, right? I mean, I can encourage you by use words, but to put the money where your mouth is a tough job. So please do that, and IPO is a good option to give them an exit. That's one. Secondly, it's also important for capex. I mean, if the public money, is a very good to infuse capital into the company without going to borrowings and debts, because borrowings and debts are always heavy on the balance sheet. Yeah. So I would believe that it's a good thing. Of course, the corporate norms of the startups have also been tremendously well, and I don't see anything wrong if they would want to go for an early IPO as well. Yeah.
Wow, beautiful. Okay, after the IPO, what changes does come for the promoters, for the board, and do the intermediaries or the law firms stay connected with them?
Yeah, it's as I said that once IPO is a life-changing process of a company. You go from a private company to a public life. Your responsibilities increase, and you have to carry and most companies do carry the advice. Of course, the experience has to be good, which in our case is mostly been the case that once you're into the company, then because the experience has been, of the company has been good, they carry you along, because you need to carry your advisors along. That's because there are a lot of from our point of view, there are a lot of post-issue compliances that we also advise the company, and sometimes if a promoter, even after basically our engagement is over, but even if he has a query, whether the company secretary that you mentioned or the board, somebody from the board, or even the promoter himself, CEO of the company, were to call me, I would not think twice about giving a detailed explanation, because that's how we do work. It's not that it's like a taxi that you put the meter on and the journey is over, you put the meter down. That doesn't work in our profession, and that's how we have been able to build long-term relationships.
Wow. So, Arko, over the years, how are you seeing the Indian capital market evolve from a legal standpoint?
I think it has been a very, thanks to regulator, our Indian regulator SEBI, I think been a very safe place to invest in. I mean, if you may ask, because there are a lot of, also it's a very dynamic space. So every year, every quarter, we see changes, but it has also become a very regulated space. There has been mistakes in the past. There has been scams. We all know about it, but we have learned from them very fast, and we have ensured that there are regulations and rules in place to stop those loopholes. From a from a commercial point of view, I think the market, last 2 to 3 years, we have not seen so many companies going public, and I'm told by some data which somebody mentioned to me, I think from the stock exchange, that there are 1,000 to 1,200 more companies waiting to go. Across various levels to sort of, go IPO. There, one of the biggest blockbuster IPOs, not going to names, have been from India. Offshore companies are folding into India to be able to tap the Indian market. So I think it's a very important and a very dynamic space and a very exciting space to be in. We just have to ensure that, as I said, good companies come into the. More than good, ready companies come into the public markets, so that investors' money is at some level. You get the returns, it's protected, and all that. That's a huge responsibility that we lawyers, bankers, the regulator, who is doing a fabulous job, all have, so that the sanctity of that marketplace remains protected.
Wow. So, what are your views regarding the Indian IPO versus the international IPO market?
See, international IPOs will have their own trends, and frankly, I hate the word comparison. International IPOs will have their own investors. They have their own commercial viabilities. They have their own sort of dynamics to go into. Indian IPOs will have their own dynamics to go to. So, and there is no comparison. Of course, you would argue that capital can only flow in one place, but given the markets today, I think it's, both markets have the dynamics, and whoever is interested in that particular market can come in.
Okay, my next question will be, how has your leadership style evolved over the years?
I think your earlier question, how do you handle pressure? Leadership is a direct correlation to that. The leadership is all about handling pressure. What is there is there. I think as you grow, seen in the profession, more than, of course, your knowledge of regulations, your knowledge of laws, it has to be given. Right? That's the basic stuff, and that is what we are trained for. But what is important to be a successful equity partner or a partner leading the practice is your man management skills. Yeah. There could be your next in line who would know this regulation number more than you, and that's fine. That's okay. Of course, you would know the interpretation better than him, but that's okay. Not going to those comparisons. But ultimately, is to put the right man in the right space, to get the right team for the right job. And sometimes law is always a personal profession, also. So some senior associate will gel well with a certain client, and then you cannot have an ego to say that no, it's my sort of decision. No, it's not your decision; it's the client's decision. And you put that right team who can service the right client in the right manner. Ultimately, we are here to serve the client. Yeah. So that's one aspect. Secondly, you have to keep your team happy. I think clients matter, but teams matter even more, because without a team, we are nobody. In that sense, so one has to recognize that, one has to keep your ego aside, and not deal in a high-handedness manner. Of course, it's important to train your juniors, train the lawyers in the right way, but you also have to be a good man manager. There will be emotional upheavals. Everybody goes through have issues in their personal life. You have to understand that. You have to be empathetic towards it. At the same time, get your job done.
Wow. So, Arko, mentorship is often underrated. Who are some key mentors for you, and how do you mentor young lawyers today?
See, if you underrate mentorship in our professional practice, you are in for trouble. That's, I think next to knowledge of law, or even before knowledge of law, mentorship is the second most, or maybe the first most important criteria. Great careers are built on mentorship and broken down on lack of mentorship. It's a fact. I'm not saying anything new, but it's a fact. So yeah, I've been extremely, and that's why I've also never felt the need or never did change my Sagar, because I've got excellent mentors here at every stages of my life. I started my career with Somshekar Sundareshan, who is now a very, a very highly regarded Bombay High Court judge, his lordship. Started his career under him, learned the ropes of securities law in that sense, and almost learned. I spent almost 11 years with him, rose from associate to a junior partner. Then Ms. Dina Wadia, also in parallel, who has, and so I was used to my debt capital market under Ms. Dina and the equity under Som. So I got best of the both worlds. Dina is absolute legend in the field of debt capital markets, and that. And of course, after Som went on to leave the firm and go into his private practice and then become Judge Vikram Nagani. He is not too senior to me, but he has, I believe he's seen the world more slightly. He has helped me a lot to build the practice. The way it is today, he has given a lot of unconditional support in that sense to sort of to get to the practice where it is today. Then you have, very recently you have got Nisha Kaur Oberoi, who is a competition law stalwart, joined our firm recently, last 6-7 months. And she's an amazing guide in that sense. And you can just walk into a room and ask any questions that you have. And of course, Arka Mookerjee, who is my business partner. More than a mentor, she's, a partner, and we have sort of built this practice together, which is a national level practice today. Yes, so credit to all of these guys to help me in the right way. And by mentorship, I do not mean that it really has to be a senior-junior relationship, a boss or an employee relationship. It's, it could be anyone, and anyone who you can go up to, have a free and frank conversation, just tap into their brain and have the answers. I think that to me is mentorship. Yeah.
Wow, beautiful. Okay. So Arko, how has technology helped you, and how's the experience been using the different legal tech applications?
Well, just to be frank, I'm not a tech nerd. I'm more of a book nerd than a tech nerd. But I think I'm literate, Word document, those things have helped. But most importantly, I don't know whether it ties up into your question, but Microsoft Teams and Zoom, they have been a game changer. COVID has probably it's the worst phase of human life and sort of human presence, and I hope no human being has to go through that phase again. But what it has also done is got Microsoft Teams and Zoom into the picture, where we never thought that, online meetings and online drafting sessions that we call it, it's a very heavy documentation on online drafting session that we could never imagine could have been done online, but it worked.
Wow. Yeah. But why I'm asking you this question is that Teams and Zoom, because of Zooms, we have gone to international also and done our, 300 plus episodes using online medium. We want more law firm adapt or implement technology. So that's why I'm asking you.
No, we have a committee. We have a committee of experts. Under our XCOM, etc., which looks at AI, how AI is going to be important, how you feed data, and then sort of. AI is a very important tool that you have, and all law firms need to use that, especially in some of the practices which are, are heavy documentation based. I hate to use the word standard, because I do not believe everything is standard unless you know the real standard. The joy and the game is to know that standard at the highest level. But having said that, AI will play an important role in law firm management, law firm documentation, and we as a firm are investing very heavily onto it. I am not a part of that committee, but I'm sure the members of the committee will do a fabulous job.
Wonderful. So my last question will be, what advice would you give to young lawyers trying to break into the capital market space today?
Not to scare anyone, but capital market is hard work. It's initially you have to. It may sound cliche, it may not, but capital markets is really hard work. It requires for you to burn the midnight oil. But having said that, there are, to the joy of going into to ring the bell on the day of the listing, when that happens and your hard work fructifies. That's the joy that we all, at least I practice this particular line of work for. You have to be detail oriented. You have to be focused. You have to be very focused on documentation. You have to know the standards very well, and you have to be intelligent and hardworking.
Wow.
And trust me, hard work is not always overrated. I mean, I've heard a lot of seniors say hard work is overrated. I don't think so. Hard working only makes you more and more intelligent.
Perfect. Yeah. So let's go to the next round and understand Arko as a person. Tell us about your family and your formative years.
I studied in Don Bosco School, Park Circus, DBPC, as it is very popularly known. It's one of the top schools in Calcutta. Um School, I was an average student, maybe below average. I don't know. I mean, till about class 6, 7, I was good. And in senior school, I was never good at the science aspect of it, and I was more into writing, literature, that reading more into it. In plus two, I took science. I don't think that was the right decision, but well, all's well that ends well. Yeah, that's been an average guy, but I mean, was quite loved in school, and still I mean, quite loved among my classmates. Yeah, that much
Wow.
I can say.
So let's go to a memory down the lane at Symbiosis Law School. What are your experience memories over there, and how did it help shape your legal career?
Um, I think symbiosis is where I matured because I mean, I lost my dad when I was 18 in that sense, and
Sorry,
then
sir.
no, that's I mean, then I just get to law, and that was a new phase of my career. Phase of my life. What career? And I suddenly become very responsible. In school, I didn't think I was that responsible. That's it. My mother support. I mean, my hats off to her in terms of being a single, I mean, a widowed woman, how she managed the finances. And Symbiosis Pune was not very expensive, but it was,
In those days, yeah.
yeah, in those days it was some amount of money. So she worked very hard to sort of bring me to the position that I am. I mean, she was a primary school teacher, and my dad did have some financial difficulties in business because he was into business, and we were in a financial slightly difficult time. But every family goes through that,
Yeah.
and kudos to her. She brought me up very well. Never made me feel that there was lack of money or lack of anything in that sense. Studied hard. Was responsible. I mean, got into a lot of moot courts. I never a great speaker, but I was an awesome researcher. I can tell it about myself. My research quality was fantastic in that sense. Even some of my seniors have also said that, and that augured well for me. So moot courts, where I really learned the law, apart from your textbooks. Textbooks is textbooks, but you practical side of the law is something that we all strive for. Yeah. So that would be one of my important functions.
Wow. So, Arko, is there a daily habit or ritual that keeps you sane amidst the chaos of deadlines?
Uh, Not really. I have a love for single malts, if I may say so. So sometimes maybe when you're too much under pressure, a small single malt just help you calm your nerves down. But not, I would not say any ritual as such. Take life as come. Yeah.
So, what's something about you that would surprise most of your friends and colleagues?
My life is an open book, so I don't think that there is anything the element of, and I'm very and I'm a person of habit in that sense. So there is nothing that would surprise people. People know me. I mean, I'm a person of habit, and there is no something very different that I would wake up suddenly and do something that would surprise people. No.
So, how do you spend your weekends when you're completely off the clock?
Almost mostly with friends, probably watching a movie, probably just because I'm getting a drink or two with friends. I mean, I stopped going into that high partying 10, 15 years back. People tell me I'm growing old. I'm fine with that. But yes, mostly with friends, whenever possible. I think they are the best friends that, I've been lucky to have good friends. Yeah.
Wow. Uh, so, what's one book or movie that has influenced you personally and professionally?
Movie, there are quite a few. I mean, in the sense, I think I watched a New Delhi Times. Because apart from, if I wouldn't have been a lawyer, I wouldn't have been a journalist. So there was a movie called New Delhi
Yeah,
Times, which has
I
sort of helped me a lot. Then there was a, I'm not trying to be super, so I'm pseudo intellectual, not, but Ek Doctor Ka Maut. I think there was a good movie, which
Yeah.
early movies is that. So we're not allowed to see movies in theaters for a long time. Unless I really went to college. I think I just watched a couple of English movies in school, but Ek Doctor Ka Maut stayed on me because of the journey of that particular doctor and what highs and lows could do to you in that sense. So I think, and most recently, I think Three Idiots I would sort of influence. But yeah, there are a lot of movies parts and has influenced me. Yes.
So there's something about the New Delhi Times and 3 Idiots. Uh, what was it that made you feel?
So, I mean, the New Delhi Times sort of showed me that. I mean, if you have conviction on a certain thing, both New Delhi Times and Dr. Kimad, I think, I mean, what I learned from them is that if you have conviction on a process, if you have, if you have confidence of what you're doing is right, then you have to follow it. There will be obstacles, there will be struggles. The system, the society may or may not always be in your favor, but ultimately, you still have to believe. You have to still go with the conviction. You have to work on that path. I mean, otherwise, it could go anywhere, right? I mean, today, if you see that this is not working or that is not working, if you listen to too many people, if you follow too many paths, it'll never work out. Then you would lose yourself as a person, and you would lose your journey. The journey could be difficult, journey could be hard, but if you're convinced about a thing, just basically go for it. I would think. Yeah.
So let's come to the movie 3 Idiots. Do you
Three Idiots.
your 3 Idiots friends in your life?
Actually, I've been blessed with quite a few friends, but my college friends. So I have got different walk. My school friends and my college friends. These are my only friends in that. Apart from a few colleagues, etc. The three people I chill with would be Arpan Sarkar, Sudeshna Gohroy, Amitesh Bhattacharya. They are my three very close batchmates. Of course, Shubhayu, Aditi. They're also my batchmates. My friend Kiran Patheja. I'm very sort of. She's a very positive influence in my life as a friend. And for my non-legal friends would be my musician friend Arka Mookerjee, who's also same name as mine, very good composer. We do talk about a lot of life and philosophy with him, Pritam Ghosh, and I don't want to go into names because I may miss someone, but yeah, these are some of my good friends that I always enjoy talking to and enjoy spending the evening with.
Wow. So if your friends had to describe you in 3 words, what would it be?
You have to ask them,
Name.
but I would think that
I will ask them.
yeah.
Surprise. See, one moment. We're thinking of something, connecting with the friends and asking them about the speakers.
Yeah.
Thank you for giving that idea. This is 5th year now. That's why we're going to do something creative and
Oh
fun.
yeah, that's just great. But I think so I do not know. I mean, they would be better placed, but I get a lot from society and my friends and colleagues that a good guy who sometimes can come first.
They're diplomatic. Okay, suppose you had 1 week away from the a capital markets work, away from the gadgets. What would you like to do and why?
I think I would like to go to Calcutta. That's where my memories are, and that's where my friends are there, of course, everywhere. But that's where I have a lot of peace and calm into it. So I would like to go back home, stay there with my mother, and just have a little bit of cut off from the world in that sense, and of course, meet my relatives there. That way, yeah. So yeah, Calcutta would be the destination.
Wow. So, Arko, are you a planner when it comes to vacation, or do you like to go with the flow?
No, I don't.
Huh?
I mean, I hardly take vacations, and it's not a good thing. But I hardly take vacations. I'm not definitely. I am very bad at planning. So I would depend on my friends and my friends whom I travel with. They are very kind enough. They know that this this is a luggage we need to carry in that sense, and I've been lucky. I've been lucky that to have good friends.
Wow. Okay. So, what are your plans for 2025, personally and professionally?
See, so I don't plan. Of course, we all have long-term plans. I mean, I had a desire that I will be a successful lawyer someday and not a successful practice. I think it's going to happen, or it's just happening. I take 6 months at a time, because after COVID and some episodes in life have told me that there's no plan. There's no need to plan for 3 years, 5 years, because it's ultimately it's at the hand of Almighty. So I prefer doing my daily job in the most sincere and the most dedicated way I can. Sometimes I lack, and when I lack, I mean, there are friends and mentors who tell me that you're slacking, including my team, Pracheto and Siddharth, my partners, being the most critical of me. My junior partners, they are being most critical of me, to say that you please, we need to. And we are all, and I always invite a free discussion to see what we can do better. So the idea is to be better every day, and then you take it from there.
Wow, beautiful. So my last one is a googly one. Describe Arko in one line.
I think, I don't know. I would be a good guy who likes to come first sometimes. I
Again,
think.
everything diplomatic answers you're giving. Your friend will be jealous if I first. So I'll have to meet them.
Yes.
Okay, let's go to the next one and have some fun. The rapid fire round. Your go-to comfort food.
Biryani.
Early morning briefings or late night closings.
Late night closings.
Best piece of advice received.
Focus.
Bengali cuisine, your favorite.
Hilsa fish, Ilish Mach, we call it Hilsa fish. Yeah.
Wow. Your dream travel place.
I think Kashmir. I mean, I've heard so much about them. There's so much history around it, both politically as well as otherwise. I would want to see that place. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Your favorite song.
Ye Dil Hai Mushkil.
Wow. Okay. Tea or coffee to recharge?
Sorry?
Tea or coffee to recharge?
Tea. I'm a tea person.
But you're a coffee then.
But with you, I can have a coffee anytime. It's a coffee conversation.
Thank you for that. So you did well, and here's your gift, Arko.
Thank you so much. Thanks. Thank you for having me again.
Wait. Let me go with autograph also. So I was confident all my coffee speakers are enjoying the rapid fire round.
Yes. Thank you.
So friends, it was a lovely conversation having with Arka Mookerjee, equity partner at JSA. So this is what our coffee speakers bring table ke by being in one law firm. As he said, ke by young lawyers take something ke by as career opportunities comes across, they go for whatever brings to the table. But the culture and everything, having good mentors and being part of the capital market, which is a highly, intensive, exciting field as IPO working with different stakeholders from the promoters, the company secretary, investment advisors, so many people, and it is a high pressure, but he manages his things in his own unique ways. So this is what our coffee speakers offers in their professional personal journey and their creative interest in all those things. So watch, subscribe to the Coffee Corner show where there are 400 plus coffee speakers. And if you want to be featured like Arko, to have in-person coffee shoot, visit our website, the Emerging India Forum, or our LinkedIn page, or ask one of the coffee speakers to put in a word of reference, and our team would plan out. So happy Ambedkar Jayanti, happy Vishu, and happy Baisakhi to everyone. So enjoy the conversation. So 400 plus episodes, 400 stories, one powerful community at the Coffee Corner Show. Thank you, everyone.